Hit the shower. Grab your coffee. And get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week. All before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, brought to you by the Apollo Cafe on Brady Street. 25 years of Greek tradition. Enjoy gyros, souvlaki, fresh salads, and the legendary Zeus burger. Dine in, take out, or get it delivered. Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? I am Charlie Uczen, like the big voice lady just said. That is Jack Pembroke on the other side of the glass, back there in his spot. Thanks to Tommy Wirtz for filling in last week for our guy, Jack.
Thank you, Tommy.
Jack, how was your weekend off last weekend? I guess it wasn't really off. You were still working.
I still got to call in. We still got to do the Warlocks Locks. Tommy and you are the best for that. And we did a really good thing. We got, I think, over 450 plus bikes for kids in need. Awesome. And also I think they're going to some kids in Ghana. So
awesome. That's a really cool deal. So thanks to Jack. Thanks to, it was Kiss FM, correct? That was out there doing that. Yep. Thanks to Kiss FM for doing that. Really awesome work in our community. We love to hear that. But we are Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, and served up fresh by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. We got a great show for you guys lined up today. We are going to dive into the Milwaukee Bucks at 9:20, and Ryan Rollins and his breakout game he had the other night with Giannis out sidelined with that knee soreness. At 9:40, we're going to discuss the Green Bay Packers and whether or not they're going to do anything noteworthy at the trade deadline. I don't know. It's a weird season for the Green Bay Packers. We've seen them do a lot of things this season that we didn't think they'd do, Jack.
Can I whisper a name into the ether?
You can.
Denzel Ward.
All right, we'll dive into that at 9:40. At 10 o'clock, Emily and Tony from WASA, a organization in or at Marquette that is dedicated to adaptive sports, wheelchair accessible sports. It's a really awesome opportunity. They got a great event going on today from 4 to 6 over there at Marquette. So Emily and Tony are going to come in, talk about that with us. Emily will be in studio. Tony will be on the phone. It should be a lot of fun. Learn a lot about that. At 10:20, as always, we got the Warlocks Locks. We're diving back into basketball, and we got the Warlocks. Would you say the Crystal Cheese Ball?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the new part of it that we're adding?
We're just gonna throw a little, extra fantasy football because we know what we're in the middle of right now. All those fantasy gremlins are gonna be listening in, so we'll give you some tips.
And to close off the show, as always, we got the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl. So you're gonna want to stay tuned for all of that. We are live streaming on YouTube at WI Sports Radio, and we are live streaming on X right now as well at WI Sports Radio. So tune in on both of those. I have a really cool beans hat that my girlfriend got me that I've been rocking almost every day. I rock a different hat.
I love Bush's beans, so she's a special lady.
She also got me on my Xbox controller, the decal that goes over the top of it. That is just beans. It's just baked.
Oh my gosh,
awesome!
True love.
I know, right? Beans. Exactly. But to start off the show, we wanted to dive into a different aspect of the Green Bay Packers, maybe not the front office and what they're doing later on this upcoming week at the trade deadline. But we wanted to talk about Christian Watson, his return to the field this past Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played in a lot more of that game, Jack, than I think a lot of people were expecting him to. Were you surprised at the amount of snaps that Christian Watson ended up taking in that game?
So you know this about me. I stashed him 2 weeks ago in our fantasy league thinking, hey, throw my rock across the water here and hope that Christian Watson is as healthy as he's been telling us in the media. And he did not disappoint. 12.5 points. So I did not expect him to our offense to look directly to him on big plays. And he came up with some big catches. So he looked like he had not missed a beat, that he has been playing all season, and he looks healthy and the speed's there.
It's really fun to watch. It's something that Sparky and I have been talking about on Wisconsin Sports Daily from 2 to 5 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. It's something that we've talked about where Matthew Golden, we kind of expected for the past couple of weeks to step into that Christian Watson role, while Christian Watson has been sidelined with this injury, another big injury. And then it kind of felt like in this game that Christian Watson was going to be back. It was, all right, he's back, but he's going to take a little bit of a backseat. We're still going to give the first round pick. We're still going to give some of these other options more of a run, But no, it immediately went to Christian Watson behind a Tucker Kraft, who's been phenomenal the past couple of weeks too. And we'll dive into him and Jordan Love and expectations for them moving forward here too. But the fact that Christian Watson slid so seamlessly into that wide receiver too, do you think that's more of a testament to Christian Watson's ability or more to the fact that just Matthew Golden isn't ready to step into the spot? Romeo Dobbs' ceiling isn't high enough to step up into that spot. What's the deal there?
Can it be a third thing?
Sure. What's the third thing?
I think they just have really good chemistry with one another. I think Christian Watson and Jordan Love really do have chemistry where, you know, I might be vilified for saying this at the end of the last 2 or 3 years with Rodgers. I know he wasn't meeting with players as much. He wasn't going to wide receiver meetings.
Right, he was definitely keeping to himself more in the offseason.
Yeah, not watching as much tape with guys. I mean, even Romeo Dobbs said it there last year. I think there's a different relationship with Jordan Love and his guys. He invites even the defense over to eat dinner once a week. So I think that's what we're kind of missing is Golden is still trying to figure out that chemistry and that balance with Jordan Love. And it's got to be hard because wait till Jaden Reed comes back.
Right.
You know, this is a lot of heavy mouths to feed. And it feels like we have 5 different wide receiver 2s. And it's okay. We don't need a wide receiver 1 because we've got 5 elite wide receiver 2s.
You got a tight ends top 3 in the whole NFL right now.
He's looking like a young Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
He's physical too. I mean, I just think a little bit of that with Christian Watson is more so chemistry, and Golden will figure out his niche within that offense. I think a lot of people just expected with the higher draft pick that, oh, well, he's got to be our number 1 immediately.
So I guess, yeah, I think a lot of people did have that mindset when you drafted a Matthew Golden. I guess my problem is you bring up this niche that he's going to find within the Green Bay Packers. The problem is when he was drafted, everybody thought, oh, he fits right into that Christian Watson niche where he's a speed guy downfield, really gives you that separation, can make some really great contested catches if given the opportunity. And then we've seen him so far this season, since Jaden Reed has been out, fill the Jaden Reed niche where you're more of a gadget player. You're able to make things happen from sideline to sideline, not just vertically, but you can make plays with your feet and make people miss that way. And that hasn't really seemed to be what Matthew Golden's kind of go-to is either. It's worked to some degree. He's definitely gotten the ball in his hands more because of that, but it hasn't really been something that's resulted in explosive plays all the time for Matthew Golden. What has is the downfield throws that we saw against like the Cincinnati Bengals when they were playing them, and the couple of plays that they had downfield in a game like that. It just feels like the Packers are trying to push him into these different categories that already exist. What is his niche if it's not one of those categories that already exist? Because it doesn't really seem like it is.
So you're going to hate my answer. It's the Jaden Reed niche.
So you think he still fits in that, even though it's because, again, he's been in that spot for like the past 3 weeks or so.
So here's my argument of that. When Jaden Reed comes back, he's going to be on DB number 2 or number 3 is going to be covering him. And the people are going to have to take away Kraft or Watson downfield. So there's going to be all these little shallow crosses, all these little deep crosses that you're either going to hit Jaden or you're going to either hit Golden. I think my hope, if you know, I don't own Matthew Golden anymore in fantasy, but my hope for guys that have held on.
You were all bought in on him.
I know I was. And then I sold him for Tet McMillan. You can call me a poser on that one, but hey, we cashed out, baby. We cashed out real nice. But anyways, I just think that's where he's going to find his niche. You know, we keep saying a fancy word like that. He's going to find his chemistry when Jaden Reed comes back. Cause I just think they're not going to be double covering him. He's going to be able to get some of those more jet sweeps. Like you've seen Savion and he get touches. I don't think he'll ever be. He's going to be a great wide receiver here. I just don't think he's what people expect. When people, hey, number 1 first round pick in 20 years, how many years, right? And I think people immediately expect, okay, well, you've got to be a Calvin Johnson. You've got to be some elite wide receiver for the next 10 years, where I'm fine with him if he's a wide receiver 2 for us. And he can be like that Jaden Reed role. I like that we have 2 balancing type of Jaden Reed, speedy guys underneath for opening up with a healthy deep ball to Watson or those under routes to Kraft.
It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are also served up by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor on historic Brady Street. We are asking you, what's the next step for Christian Watson? What's the next step for Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft after a phenomenal week last week? You can hit us up on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250. You can also comment on all our social media accounts at WI Sports Radio. So that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Still working on TikTok a little bit. We got a lot of old guys at the station. It takes a long time to get them all acclimated to filming videos.
I don't want to learn
Sparky
new
may have
things.
to learn a couple TikTok dances.
Oh,
I think he's going to
yeah.
have to start practicing here soon. Yeah, I think this is something that we're going to have to work on a little bit.
I think Sparky could become a TikTok star. I just think he doesn't believe in himself yet.
He's probably the type of old guy to have the camera down the corner and play the audio that he doesn't know what's playing.
The selfie Tinder pics where it's like,
exactly. But we are live streaming on YouTube and Twitter as well at WI Sports Radio. So you can check us out on there if you'd rather watch the show that way. And then you can comment on this question again. What's the next step for Christian Watson? And then what's the next step for Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft? We talked about Christian Watson in this wide receiver room a little bit, Jack, and Matthew Golden's role in this wide receiver room right now. Tucker Kraft is kind of catapulted, I guess, himself into that one wide receiver one route, that number one target kind of option for a Jordan Love. Why do you think it's been in some ways easier for him to build that relationship with a Jordan Love just as quickly as they have over the course of these past 5 weeks or so, in the 3 weeks that he's had those monster games, versus like a Matthew Golden, who is a first round pick? And I know Tucker Kraft's been on this team for a couple of years, and that helps him a little bit too, obviously. But just again, it's exploded just kind of out of nowhere. I think people had expectations for Tucker Kraft, but they had expectations for Matthew Golden, like you were talking about too. So why is it taking, I guess, relatively a little bit longer for a Matthew Golden to get going here versus a Tucker Kraft, who does not have the same kind of pedigree that a Matthew Golden had when he was drafted, was not even supposed to be tight end one until this season, basically. I mean, this is a guy that didn't have the same expectations going in, but now he's doing this. Why is Matthew Golden not doing that as fast?
So there were some people that knew Kraft was going to be good. He did get asked his sophomore year to transfer to Alabama, and because he had family health issues, he stayed at home. But I think if you're a deep down dark Packer fan, you knew that they were going to feed Tucker Kraft this year. And he's healthy. We had talked about it earlier this year. If he stays healthy, he could be top 3 tight end, even better than that. And I think, just like any sports journalist would say, what's the quarterback's best friend? A nice tight end with soft hands who can get physical. He plays so physical. He's everything this team epitomizes in gut, grit. And he's been so physical at the point of attack. The majority of his catches come within 5 to 10 yards, and he's just getting so much yak after the play. He's willing himself, like the first touchdown in the Steelers game, maybe 4 or 5 broken tackles. We haven't had that since maybe a Bubba Franks or a Jermichael Finley.
I don't even know if you had that in Jermichael Finley.
No,
I don't know if you had that in Bubba Franks. This Tucker Kraft, what we've seen in not just these past 2 weeks, but the past 2 seasons, when he's been given the ball and what he's been able to do,
special.
I mean, that's Rob Gronkowski looks like sometimes. That's George Kittle looks like sometimes. That's 2 of the greatest tight ends of all time.
I mentioned Kelsey earlier. I think you're more apt with Rob Gronkowski because he's man-childing people out of the way like it's a Manning SNL commercial where he's just face-stuffing kids.
It's insane. What we're seeing from Tucker Kraft right now really has to get you excited as a Packers fan, especially since, again, what he's doing is by himself almost. He's doing a lot of this after the catch. He's getting the ball. Jordan Love is getting him the ball, which is phenomenal. I mean, 20 straight completions in that last game versus Pittsburgh is huge.
No sacks either and 3 touchdowns. First time that's ever happened in the NFL.
Like, Jordan Love is just playing clean football right now.
If that pocket can stay healthy and he can just throw and deliver, Tucker Kraft, not even an all-pro, he might be the number 1 tight end this year.
I firmly believe that. I think right now, based on what I've seen from him, he is the number 1 tight end in the league. He's the guy who's done it the most consistently so far this season.
I love to hear it from a Bears fan.
Right. It's hard to deny, man. When you watch the Green Bay Packers play football, your eyes go to Tucker Kraft right now. Like, when he gets the ball, you expect at least 20 yards from that man. at this moment in his career. And he's still a very young player, still learning kind of nuances of the game still too.
My dad's celebrating National Tight Ends Day. He didn't know that was a thing. And he's like, Tucker Kraft makes me want to celebrate.
There you go.
There we go. We got another one into the fold.
So, Jack, on Wisconsin Sports Daily with Sparky during the week, like I mentioned before, 2 to 5 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, we asked the question, does Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft, that duo, feel like it's got the makings of a Kelsey Mahomes, Gronkowski Brady? Are you in that boat, or do you think we still need to see a little bit more? Is that kind of a little too much? But like the makings of doesn't mean we think they are. It just means that it looks like it could be.
Something's a brewing up north in Green Bay. I want to see jewelry. Mm-hmm. I want to see NFC jewelry. I want to see Super Bowl jewelry before we start talking Brady, Gronk.
Does it only take one ring for you to start putting them in that, though?
You could start arguing that it could feasibly, hypothetically, if we're looking at an argument of the next 3 seasons, the Packers are competing for NFC titles, and they go to 2 NFC title games back to back. Sure, you can start making the argument then. I just want to bask in how special this season could be. With one shoe does not make a summer, you know. Like let's get through the playoffs. Let's continue this, and you can keep telling me every week, Jack. I've been telling you, Jack. I've been telling you he's number one. I'm a believer. I just don't want to throw it out there and then have it crash to reality that it's like, oh. Okay.
I get it. Let's head on over to the Nicolay Law talk and text line from the 262. He says Kraft reminds me of Jeremy Shockey.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
That's a very good play. I can see it. I think that's another guy who just played very physically. Something you can just see it in the way they look too. Like so there's something about Tucker Kraft. You know he's not going to be a finesse tight end. You know he's going to go beat somebody up. Jeremy Shockey looked the same kind of way.
They'd probably drink the same beer and would go deer hunting together too.
Probably.
So, okay. Yeah. Whoever 262 is, great call on Jeremy Shockey. I apologize for not pulling that one out.
From the 414, he's talking about the World Series. We'll dive into the Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl at the end of the show. He says, I just saw 2 Blue Jays. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
Hey.
We're all cheering for the Blue Jays.
Buddy. Go on down to Potawatomi and put some shekels down.
We're all cheering for the Blue Jays. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. When we come back, we're going to dive into the Milwaukee Bucks and Ryan Rollins balling out once again in the absence of Giannis and what we think Ryan Rollins' ceiling could potentially be if he continues to play at this level. And maybe some of these other Bucks players that are on this roster that have been playing above their pedigree or what we've seen from them in the past. So if you want to get in on that, you can be like the 262 and 414 on the Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250. And then we are also live streaming on Twitter and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. And we are posting all the questions on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever. You can find us again at WI Sports Radio. When we come back talking Milwaukee Bucks, I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke. We'll be right back. Okay, 9-0 with Coon. Little Wayne in here.
Freshman year at Madison for me.
Exactly.
Hey.
This is like Madden 2010.
Oh, yeah.
Madden 10 with it had Larry Fitzgerald and Troy Polamalu on the cover. Is that the right one?
Last time Madden was good.
This was on the soundtrack, and I think I fell in love with this song on that soundtrack. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are served up by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's my guy, Jack Pembroke, on the other side of the glass there. Winners of 3 straight, the Pack looks to make it 4 in a row as they play host to Carolina tomorrow at noon. When the game is over, make the switch to the Green Bay football postgame show powered by Lakeland University on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. That's with Sparky Pfeiffer. That's with Tommy Wirtz. They do a great job going about the game afterwards. If the Packers win, you'll hear Sparky get really excited and Tommy play downer. If they lose, you'll hear them both play downer, and it's a lot of fun no matter what. So go ahead, tune into the Green Bay football post-game show after the Pack takes on Carolina at noon. Should be a lot of fun with that. Last segment, we talked about the Green Bay Packers and Christian Watson in that wide receiver room and expectations for them moving forward for the rest of the season. We talked about Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft and what their ceiling could be as a duo moving forward, not just in this season, but moving forward in their careers. Now we wanted to move over to the Milwaukee Bucks and discuss another player looking to make a name for himself, and he did so on Thursday night for the Milwaukee Bucks. Ryan Rollins, without Giannis on the court, basically just took control. Like that is the easiest way to put it, Jack. Ryan Rollins went out there and showed that he can be a second option if called upon. What was the biggest thing that you saw from Thursday night's game against the Warriors from Ryan Rollins that really gives you confidence that he can continue to take those next steps moving forward here?
I just think the length. I can see him defending at different positions, and he's just so smooth in transition basketball. It's something that we got beat a lot last year by other point guards, where it was the Pacers or teams like the Cavs. They had a 6'4" to 6'6" guy that can not only. I was watching some of his tape. He's got beautiful mid-range, and I know I'm sounding old here, but he reminded me of Allen Houston off the dribble, where he can just dribble drive you and pull right up in your face and just hit swishes. I didn't think we got that lucky in the offseason, but the rich get richer. We were just talking behind the scenes here about what happens when KPJ comes back and what a lineup of 5 guys with a Ryan Rollins, KPJ, and maybe a Cole Anthony with kind of a smaller, quicker unit of Giannis and Bobby, how that would look. It gives you a lot of opportunities later into the season. I know we're way too early right now, but it looks like we found a gem.
Definitely. I mean, he's played out of his mind these past couple of games. In this game against Golden State, he had 32 points and 8 assists, 3 rebounds, and only 1 turnover. Went 13 for 21 shooting, 5 for 7 from 3, and 1 for 3 from the free throw line. He did have 5 fouls in this game, which is something I think you're going to get from him. You're going to get from a KPJ. You're going to get from a Cole Anthony. You're going to get from a Gary Trent Jr. All of those guys that I just named play defense extremely hard. They go out there and put a lot of effort into it. That does not mean they're always good defenders. That means a lot of times they get caught in situations like this where they get into foul trouble. There's going to be games where they dive and try to lunge for a ball, lunge for a pass, and then the player is going to catch it and run right by them. And it happens a lot more often than I think people give them credit for sometimes right now. But watching this Milwaukee Bucks team without a Giannis on the court, I felt comfortable for like the first time since Giannis became an MVP. Basically,
you weren't white knuckling the whole game.
No, and I kind of was when I was driving. I was picking up dinner before the game started. I was listening to the broadcast a little bit in the radio, and they were saying, "Oh, looks like Giannis is going to be out with the knee soreness." I was like, "Oh, great! Now this is just going to start the cycle that we have every season, where it's Giannis starting to get hurt because he has way too much on his plate right now, and these rest of these guys are going to go out there and flub against a team like the Warriors that's so experienced, and they just didn't do that. And Ryan Rollins was the head of that snake, and he went out there and was just biting everybody. He was able to do what he can, or what he could to the max, even without a Giannis on the court. But what helps is that Miles Turner played really well in this game. He played a really clean game in this one. Defensively, he was really just all over the place in place of Giannis as that lead help defender. You saw Gary Trent Jr. He has 4 steals in this game. Again, just finding those lanes and being able to jump those lanes. Jack, do you think that Ryan Rollins' couple of games here where he's taken this ascent, Gary Trent Jr. taking a leap at defender, just kind of the roster construction all molding together as well as they are, do you think that's more to do with John Horst, the GM of the Bucks, and what he did this offseason to kind of create this team or kind of rebuild this team a little bit? Or does that have more to do with Doc Rivers and what he's been able to do as the coach of this team, given a real full year with his roster?
I think all those guys would say all of those things, right? But let's break it down. Gary Trent, I remember going to a game and I was with all these old heads that had no idea who Gary Trent was. And before the game, they're like, hey, who's this Gary Trent guy? I was like, I don't know, but he can shoot threes. And that was the game where he literally tied the Bucks record. When I saw all of that and you saw how he played in the playoffs, it was like, okay, what other pieces can we put around him coming off the bench and being able to throw sparks into the engine for the Bucks? I think this is starting to look like a European basketball team. A lot of these guys are playing soccer on the hardwood. They move without the ball beautifully. They all can knock down from the 1-4 position. It's predicated in the NBA. Everyone's got to be able to at least shoot a mid-range and pull away defenders and be able to move without the ball. We also have better defense. So that means Gary Trent coming off the bench is going to be able to give you more of those threes and not have to play defense with a Ryan Rollins or a healthy KPJ. There's lots of, I think you're right in that Doc is now getting a chance to play chess, right? He's got his guys for his system. We also need to point out that there's some good assistant coaching. Rajon Rondo is, I think, helping Ryan Rollins out a lot. And I'm not saying that Ryan Rollins isn't mentally a smart player or isn't good, but at a young age, when you have a guy with a pedigree like Rajon Rondo,
yeah, Ryan Rollins is a smart player, but Rajon Rondo might be one of the smartest players.
One of the best
time.
Quarterbacks of the NBA. And I think that's what we are missing. When I talk basketball, my dad is an old head in basketball, coached internationally for colleges, and he knows his stuff. He was like, last year, you need a guard that can say, hey, I can lock down like what Drew used to do, and also dribble, drive, and distribute, but also when you ask me to give you 15 to 18, I can give you that. We had a little bit of that with KPG last year, but it wasn't consistent. Ryan Rollins looks like an emerging star in this league, and we got him for a steal and a song.
It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are live streaming on YouTube. We are live streaming on X at WI Sports Radio. You can find the question that we're asking you. What is Ryan Rollins' ceiling moving forward here? You can hit us up on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250-1250. Again, we are asking, what is Ryan Rollins' ceiling? We head over to the YouTube chat at WI Sports Radio. Joshua over there says Rollins needs to start even when Porter gets back. He's got the potential. We can see it with our eyes. Joshua, I would say to you, Kevin Porter Jr.'s got the potential. In that first game of the season, in 9 minutes, he scored 10 points and was 3 for 5 from 3 in that period. Like, you can see he's got the potential. Cole Anthony the other night played out of his mind, had 20 points off the bench and almost a double-double with his assists. He's got the potential. You can see it with your own eyes. I mean, a lot of these guys are super talented, and Sparky kept saying this to me yesterday on Wisconsin Sports Daily because I was saying kind of the same thing, Joshua. I said, Ryan Rollins, it's hard to take him out of this lineup. And to say he's not starting when Kevin Porter Jr. comes back feels a little rude to Ryan Rollins almost. At the same time, Sparky said it, you can't lose your job to injury. And Kevin Porter Jr. and Doc Rivers, especially a guy like Doc Rivers, who's an old school style coach, is going to go out there and say, you know what, you deserve a shot at least, KPJ, to go out there and show that you can still do this. And in that first game, again, 10 points in 9 minutes isn't something just to ignore. I know it's the Washington Wizards. It's still performance that was unbelievable for a player like Kevin Porter Jr. going into this season. And now hopefully he can do that when he does get healthier. What would be awesome is that potentially they could start a Ryan Rollins and a Kevin Porter Jr. together. Maybe an AJ Green, maybe a Gary Trent Jr. moves to the bench. I think there's a lot of options to mess around with this Bucks lineup right now. But what's nice is that it's no longer messing around with the lineup and hoping that that lineup works with two different stars, that Damian Lillard's style of play is going to have to work with this lineup along with Giannis' style of play working with this lineup. Now it's just doesn't work with Giannis.
What I'm hearing from you is complementary basketball and two-way basketball. We haven't had, since Drew left, we really haven't had a point guard that can lock down a top scorer and still give you number 3 scoring ability on the offensive end. And that will be, well, I don't care if it's Gary Trent doing that, but I think it's more likely to be Ryan Rollins and KPJ moving forward healthy. I don't care who it is. We need a rotation of 7 to 8 guys that can literally fit into what Doc and Giannis want for this team.
Do you think right now that we, as the Milwaukee Bucks organization, that I think the fan base for the most part has given up on this idea of a two-way ability? In some degree, it feels like the fan base has looked at the situation that the Milwaukee Bucks are in right now and said before the season with the roster construction that there's no shot this team can do anything as long as Giannis isn't on the court. And right now, what I'm seeing is what Jack is talking about over there is that you're seeing guys give the effort at least. And that's what is the start, the beginning of this. That's how they ended up getting to a Drew Holiday, is that they had players that wanted to give an effort and wanted to play with Giannis and play this defensive style of basketball. And I think for the past couple of years, because Damian Lillard was on this team, you saw players, maybe it wasn't that they didn't want to, it's just that they didn't know when they should or when they had to. Joshua over on YouTube says, I just think Rollins fits better with the starters. Sorry, I wasn't knocking KPJ. Just think there's something about Rollins to me. I think the stealing should be Brunson. His career has some up and downs before he turned into the Brunson now. Joshua, I definitely get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to say you were knocking or bashing KPJ. I completely get that. At the same time, I'm just saying that it's not as easy as saying we're watching him do this over the course of 5 games when KPJ has also done this over the course of 5 games. We need to see what this Bucks team has before we start making all these grandiose lineup changes. And yes, there's a lot of options, and there will be lineup changes. Just right now, you kind of have to stick with what you're doing at this moment. Let's head on over to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line where Al in Cedarburg is on the line. Al, it's nice to talk to you on a Saturday, my man.
I know, Charlie. It's so weird calling in. I've got my daughters in the back. We just got done with dance class. I was just like, let's tune in and see what Jack and Charlie got to say. But love the discussion about Rollins, guys. One of the things that I wanted to touch on as far as his ceiling, I see a lot of Dante Exum and a lot of Deron Williams in him. And as far as Exum, it's that length. I mean, Exum is 6'7", 6'6", closer to that 6'10", 6'11" wingspan. He plays the passing lane, like you guys were saying. And I mean, look, Rollins is averaging 6 deflections a game. So I mean, that in itself just says how aggressive he is in playing those passing lanes. And then when you think of Deron Williams, you kind of think of that bigger bodied, strong, kind of brute-like point guard. But Jack, you touched on it too. The guy can shoot, and coming off the pick and rolls and some of the step backs and some of the mid-range looks that he's getting, I don't know. It's really fascinating to kind of see the growth, and not just as a player, but look at his backstory a little bit. He kind of ran into some trouble when he was in Washington. He had some issues, so it's always awesome to me to see somebody make that turn. And kind of just get back on track. We all make mistakes, and it's a good story. So I'm looking forward to it.
America loves a comeback story,
don't we?
Yeah,
exactly.
We do.
Al, I wanted to ask you. So Dante Exum, he's a player that I think going into the draft that had a really highly touted kind of ceiling because of his length, because of his defensive ability that you're talking about. Joshua in our YouTube chat just puts in Exum couldn't shoot. Do you think that Ryan Rollins has, despite that archetype of a Dante Exum, a higher ceiling than a Dante Exum right now? Because Exum just couldn't really figure out how to consistently play defense. He couldn't consistently be an offensive threat. Ryan Rollins seems like he has more of that ability. Do you feel like he has that?
Absolutely, and I totally agree. He has a higher ceiling than Exum. I was really just kind of comparing to the defensive game. It's that Deron Williams offensive kind of attributes that he has. He can turn it on when he needs to.
So then
I definitely think he's better.
With Deron Williams, then he's a guy who had a really kind of short, a really solid peak, but a really short peak that kind of fell off a cliff that fast. From that side of things, do you think Ryan Rollins' style of play right now is going to be able to be played for longer than 3 seasons before he has to figure out a different style of play. Is it I guess transcendental? Is that a word?
Transcendental.
I don't even know if that's a word.
It's transcendental.
There you go. Jess got me. That's why he's the veteran.
I wasn't that good at English, but Charlie, I think that's a really, really good question. I think the shelf life of Rollins is longer simply because the NBA plays a little bit different today. At point guards attacking the basket, we're getting beat up a lot more. Deron Williams did have a lot of knee issues towards the end of his career. But if you go back and you look at that peak that he had, he was like a 25, 9, and 4 guy for a solid 5-year stretch between the Jazz and the Nets. And I think any of us would say if we were in the NBA and we could have a career that Deron Williams did, we would take it.
Gladly.
Right. Awesome, Al. Have a great rest of your weekend. Go get some lunch, maybe some brunch right now after dance class. I'm sure the little ones are begging.
Apollo?
Yeah.
How about some Apollo?
The
legendary Zeus burger.
Get some gyro. So thanks again, fellas. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thanks for calling.
Have a going out.
Stranger, brother. All right, there's Al in Cedarburg. You can be like Al. Get on the Nicolay Law Talking Text line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250, 1250. We're asking you what Ryan Rollins' ceiling is. We are going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to dive into some Green Bay Packers at the trade deadline. If you had something to say about Ryan Rollins, though, we'll love to talk to you about it still. So please call in if you got something to say. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the trade deadline with the Green Bay Packers. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are served up by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. I'm Charlie Uczen, and that's Jack Pembroke. We will be right back. How we doing, folks? How we doing? I am Charlie Uczen. That is Jack Pembroke on the other side of the glass there. And we are Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. If you guys are just tuning in, you missed us talk about Ryan Rollins in the last segment and what he has been able to do in the absence of Giannis in this last game, and Kevin Porter Jr. since he got hurt in the first game of the season. Joshua on YouTube has been going back and forth with us here. You can be like Joshua, get in on the show at WI Sports Radio on YouTube, on Twitter at WI Sports Radio. We are also posting all our posts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at WI Sports Radio, so you can tune in that way as well. Joshua says, you can most definitely see Dame had an influence on him and Ryan Rollins. I'll say that. The way he maneuvers in a crowd and is still able to get buckets, also the pull of three, not saying he's Lillard at all, but I think he learned a lot from him, definitely. I think, Jack, when you look at what Damian Lillard was able to do with this Bucks team, I think more so than anything, the biggest impact he had was in his leadership and him being a veteran for this squad.
It's not talked about enough because I think people are still a little butthurt that it didn't work out. The experiment was not what we thought it would be in Dexter's lab. And I think he really, for as much as he was on the bench and injured, he really did help those young guys. And I think it's important to point that out because I don't think these younger guards would be at the point they are right now going into this season without any of that tutelage. So we got to give Dame that.
Exactly. And Q points out that yesterday in KPJ's workout, he had a little bit of a setback with his meniscus. Yeah. He's out for another month here. So Ryan Rollins is going to continue to get these opportunities. Should be a lot of fun to watch him play.
Relax.
All
right. The season does not start till about January. Okay. As long as Ryan Rollins can get us through December and we're still looking like a 4-1 team, we'll take care of business.
Right. Exactly. That's kind of the biggest thing is that no matter what has happened so far, this team has looked good. Man.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to focus on right now.
Light years ahead of last year.
Exactly. All right. We got about 5 minutes or so here before we got to head to break one more time. We wanted to dive into the Green Bay Packers real quick. LOL, the camera zoom on that relax was incredible.
Thanks, Q.
Yeah.
It was not
cinematic.
Planned.
It was cinematic. You got to pretend like it's
No. We just... We fly by the seat of our pants here and we just dominate.
But we want to talk about the trade deadline with this Green Bay Packers team. There's been a lot of questions about the cornerback room, Jack. And I think a lot of names have been thrown around at that cornerback room. One of those names was Roger McCreary, Tennessee Titans. He was just traded this past week, so he's taken off the board there. Do you feel like what you've seen so far this season from that defensive back room, that they truly need somebody else from a trade deadline acquisition, in your opinion?
Yes and maybe. I think we need to see more of Nate Hobbs in the slot corner because that's just, I think he's better there. And I think Valentine has been playing well. But I've heard rumors and seen rumors across the sporting world that the Browns are very open to talking about Denzel Ward, and the Packers have discussed stuff. People are trying to trade for Luke Musgrave, but they've only offered a 5th rounder better, so that's not going to happen. But
why is that not going to happen? I mean, he's our second tight end, and there's guys that have been able to do what he does. He doesn't really block all that great. When he gets the ball, he struggles to stay on his feet. I know this is something that we wanted a tight end duo. Yeah, we wanted Rob Gronkowski and the Aaron Hernandez type of thing without all the, the killing people and stuff.
Minus
that part. But you thought they could be this kind of dynamic duo, and Luke Musgrave just hasn't really been given opportunities to, but B, I don't think he would have done that much with them when he is given those opportunities. Like, why is it so unrealistic to take a 5 for him?
I'd like to see a 4. I just
don't think you're going to be able to get a 4.
I know, but I think Goot is not a guy who's going to take. What was he? He was a 1st round draft pick. No, second. So he's going to want. He was early 2nd round, right, or mid, but he's going to want something for that that's not a 5th.
I guess he's going to want that, but like if that's the case, then he's just not going to trade him, which I think kind of goes back to this idea that this Packers team, it may do the same things that they've always done, which is just kind of stand pat, maybe get 1 to 2 kind of depth pieces, the Rasul Douglases, where you take a flyer on a guy, But this season has felt different from even before the season. They went and traded for Michael Parsons. That was not something that I think you've expected from this Packers team.
Christmas in July, man.
You already traded away your first round pick. So there's two ways to go about this. It's either you get really conservative with the rest of your picks so that you make sure you can get those players, or you say, we don't have a first round pick. What is the point of the draft? Let's trade away all our picks, which is what like the Bears do every other year, basically.
You're well versed in that.
But there's two ways to go about that. I think there's some teams that are successful doing both. Jack, which way would you go about it now that you don't have your first round picks? Would you be more conservative or would you be more willing to throw that out there?
So I know this about the Packers really quickly. They always have a bevy of round 4 picks, round 5, and round 3. So if you can somehow, Goot can somehow be a magic man and work a 4th and a 5th or a 3rd and a 5th for a Denzel Ward or someone who can come in and be a top 2 DB on this team, I think that makes me more comfortable going into the playoffs. But right now, I don't feel like we need to do this to win a title or win an NFC playoff game or win an NFC title. I think with the guys we have, they're pretty solid. We need some more consistent play from Keyshawn at times. We need some more consistent play from even Xavier McKinney. I think Evan Williams has really quietly been one of the best players on this defense this year.
Yeah.
And he can just play that elephant position that they used to put Charles Woodson in, where it's like, oh, you can drop him in to be kind of a safety hybrid linebacker, and he can cover tight ends, he can cover running backs. I think with the guys we have, we believe in them. I wouldn't want to give up too much to go out and get a special DB to join this team. I don't know if that screws up the room too, chemistry wise.
That's fair. And I think that's the biggest thing is chemistry is what you kind of have to look forward to here as a Green Bay Packers team that is always built on chemistry. Like everything they do is about chemistry. But Michael Parsons was a chemistry concern too coming in, wasn't he? And they still took a shot on that. So you never know. This kind of feels like it could be a different Green Bay Packers team than I think we've seen in the past for the Green Bay Packers. This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. That it will do it for the first hour. We got one more hour still left for you guys. We're going to talk with Emily and Tony from WASA to discuss their Try It today from 4 to 6 p.m. out there at Marquette. Be a lot of fun. Emily's waiting for us. We're going to go grab her, bring her in. And then we're going to dive into the Warhawks Locks, the WSW Pub Crawl. All the fun stuff that you are normally seeing on Wisconsin Sports Weekend is right here for you. Do not change that dial. We will be right back after this next break.
hit the shower, grab your coffee, and get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week. All before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, brought to you by the Apollo Cafe on Brady Street. 25 years of Greek tradition. Enjoy gyros, souvlaki, fresh salads, and the legendary Zeus burger. Dine in, take out, or get it delivered. Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
I don't think those kids ever miss those kicks, Jack. You're over there celebrating.
They do all the time. No, they do all the time. And they're saying it was no good. The review's up. He's saying it was no good.
That looks like it went over to me.
That's in all day.
Like it went over to me.
Let's see here.
Have you guys ever tried to
that's
take a field goal before?
I have not. I've tried, but not really tried. So
I could kick a field goal, but my dad's from Ireland, so that's just soccer.
Gotcha. It looks like you have a soccer jersey on right now.
I do. Liverpool.
Oh.
I am Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. And that is Emily Oberst joining us from Wausau, Wisconsin Adaptive Sports Association with Marquette University. And we are Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. So, like you just heard, Emily is on the show here with us today. We're also joined by Tony Sable. Did I say your name right, Tony?
Sable, but that's
Sable.
okay.
All right. I got it now. I'm locked in, Tony. Thank you so much for joining us. Both of these lovely people are joining us from Wausau, again, like I mentioned. And today they have a try-it going on from 4 to 6 at the Wellness and Health Fair Recreation Center at Marquette University. It's free to join for anybody that would love to come out, try out wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair lacrosse, and adaptive pickleball. It should be a lot of fun. Come out, meet Tony, meet Emily. You guys, this is something that it seems like you've been trying to do for a while now. Emily, when did this start at Marquette? And then how has it grown since you've started with it?
Yes, so I've been with Wausau as a staff member for a few months, but I am actually been in our program for 10 years as a wheelchair basketball player. So Wausau was founded in 2015, and we developed this partnership with Marquette about 5 years ago. And the partnership has just been amazing. Our wheelchair basketball team actually wears the Marquette Golden Eagles jerseys, the same as their college team.
Awesome.
And our wheelchair lacrosse team is actually coached by the able-bodied college athletes at Marquette. So we formed this amazing partnership. We're so excited to flourish. More on that tonight at the Triad, and just invite everybody, all abilities, free event to just try adaptive sports and really embrace how thrilling and competitive the sports are. Because a lot of people, you don't get a chance to, sit in a wheelchair and play some sports very often.
Right. So is this something where you are actually looking for people to come play like these sports on your teams? Like, are they tryouts as along with try-its, or is it just more so just kind of experiencing, just having everybody go out there and try these sports?
It's a little bit of both. So a lot of our athletes usually only play one sport. Our seasons are really long, so this kind of gives the opportunity for our own Wausau athletes to try other sports along with the community, just trying adaptive sports. Most likely for the first time, we're going to have the Marquette women's basketball team there, lacrosse team, boxing team. So it's going to be awesome. So it's just a mix of everybody coming together in the adaptive community.
Talking with Emily Oberst and Tony Sable of Wausau at Marquette University. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. Tony, I want to turn over to you, my man. So you are on the rugby side of things. When did you get into rugby, playing wheelchair rugby, and what has it meant to you since you started playing?
Well, wheelchair rugby was kind of invented in northern Minnesota, Canada area, and it was meant and developed for people with spinal cord injuries in the cervical level, being quadriplegic. So some limitations within all four limbs. And I started playing in 2009, about 2 years after my injury, from a C5 snow tubing accident. And really for me, it's just been a continuous path and growth as learning how to live with a high spinal cord injury, and you just keep on learning new things and trying new stuff from your adaptive teammates. And it's a great camaraderie within the group that you kind of are all dealing with the same limitations or struggles in the world. So it's a good resource, as well as you just keep on learning new things.
Tony, it's Jack here. Quick question. My dad's from Ireland, so I come from a family that, a lot of people love rugby in our family. Do you guys play 7-a-side, or what are the numbers we're looking at here?
No, so wheelchair rugby is very different from the able-bodied rugby. That we don't have like the unique player names like flanker and things like that, or scrum. But so for us, it's 4-on-4. You are given a classification based on your functionality. So which ranges from 0.5, which that's me, as low functioning as I come, but being able to play adaptive sports in a wheelchair. And then your 3-5s would kind of be like your quad amps, so full arm function on that, core function. So we don't have to only lateral the ball. We can throw it forwards, and then we use a volleyball too instead of a rugby ball, so you can kind of better control how it bounces and that, since we're already struggling with limited hand and arm functions to be able to play.
Very cool. Tony, so I know rugby can be a little bit of a more physical sport, and I would assume even in wheelchair rugby, you guys are banging around with each other to some degree. What is that kind of like? And then how do they kind of referee that? How does the rule changes in that aspect change from regular rugby to wheelchair rugby?
Well, I'm not too familiar with regular rugby rules.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's, as a rugby player, I may be a little biased. Emily can tune into that more, but I think it's definitely the most aggressive of the wheelchair sports. That as long as it's chair-to-chair contact, or if you're trying to strip the ball away from someone's lap, all that contact is allowed. It's just you're not supposed to punch or hit your other players, but full wheelchair contact. So we're popping tires. We have spare tires on the side that we'll pause the game for an equipment break and get a new tire, or if you hit people right, you flip them or sometimes yourself over. And so we'll pause the game, and our equipment crew will come out and help flip us back upright, because unlike many of the other sports, we can't flip ourselves back upright like you might see in the other sports. But yeah, just maybe a quick adjustment, and then go. Thankfully, like in rehab, you learn to tuck your head so you don't bang it, and then you also learn to cover your face, because a lot of people get knocked out by their knees or legs coming at you. But thankfully, within the wheelchair rugby chair format, like our feet are strapped in, our legs are strapped in, our waists are strapped in, and then we have a chest strap, so we only have to worry about tucking our head, because our legs are well strapped in, that we shouldn't have to worry about getting knocked out by our legs.
Well, Tony, you've sold me on coming and forcing Charlie to come watch you trade some paint in wheelchair rugby, because that was like a Disney format for why I need to watch this.
Well, glad I could entice you, and hopefully we have some others listening that want to come see it or give it a try.
Definitely. That's Tony Sobel. We are joined by him and Emily Oberst of Wausau, Wisconsin Adaptive Sports Association. as they are here to help get people to come out to their Try It event at the Wellness and Health Fair Recreation Center at Marquette University from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. today. Come out, try it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wheelchair rugby, like Tony was just talking about, wheelchair lacrosse, adaptive pickleball, and then wheelchair basketball. Emily, I know you are a little bit, I mentioned this before, of a legend in the Wisconsin area in wheelchair basketball. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience playing that sport and what that's like?
Yeah, so I didn't start playing wheelchair basketball until a little later in life. So I started in high school. And the reason for that is I was diagnosed with bone cancer when I was 12 years old. So I had a tumor in my left leg. I had to have a surgery to remove it. And that surgery led me to not be able to run or jump anymore. So luckily I went through treatments and I've been in remission ever since I was 13 years old, but I couldn't go back to my normal life. My normal sports athletic career I thought was over. And then I found wheelchair basketball when I was 15 years old. It completely brought back that passion I missed in my life. And I started playing and really excelling right away at it. I was able to go to college as a student athlete at the University of Illinois, and lucky enough to make the team that went to Paris in the Paralympics in 2024. We won a silver medal. So it's changed my life completely, opened up so many doors. And that's kind of why for my day job, I got involved with WASA. Just the passion and just seeing how many lives adaptive sports can change is just so inspiring. And if we can touch more lives, especially in the Milwaukee community, that's, what we want to do. And this Try It is kind of the first step to that, is getting people out, getting people to see it, getting people to try it.
Do all these sports that you guys are having people try out have a Paralympic level to them, or is it only like basketball, rugby, kind of the more popular sports right now?
Most of them have some sort of national level. Okay. So the Paralympic level, I'd say half of our sports are Paralympic sports. Wheelchair rugby is a Paralympic sport, and we're pretty good as Team USA, awesome. Which is awesome. Wheelchair basketball is definitely Paralympic. And then wheelchair lacrosse has, we play other countries, just sometimes in the Paralympics, sometimes we'll have world championships. So it's definitely, you can excel in any sport, and awesome. Yeah, it changes your life.
So what other sports are people participating in at Marquette University outside of these four when it comes to Paralympic sports?
I think we do have sled. I know Marquette, I don't think, has a hockey team, but sled hockey team definitely is a Paralympic sport. The Winter Paralympics are actually in a few months. So tune into that on Peacock. Awesome. That will be awesome. We'll be cheering Team USA.
Definitely will. That should be really cool. Again, talking with Emily Oberst and Tony Sabel of WASA, Wisconsin Adaptive Sports Association, and Marquette. Again, come out to Marquette Wellness and Health Fair Recreation Center from 4 to 6 p.m. today to try out wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair lacrosse. Adaptive pickleball should be a lot of fun. It's open to the public. It's free to join. So come on out, try out some of these awesome sports. Emily, at this event today, what are you hoping people get out of it when they come and participate in a lot of this?
I think I want people to understand how competitive and physical and just thrilling adaptive sports are. I think with the word wheelchair, there's kind of a negative stigma, and you think, you have to be gentle around somebody in a wheelchair, and just, I want to get rid of that stigma. Right. And it's a lot of that. You have to see the sports and participate in it to just realize, just because you're in a wheelchair, you can still be competitive, you can still be physical, you can still be athletic.
For sure. Tony, I wanted to ask you the same question. Again, what are you hoping people get out of this experience when they come out to Marquette today and play a little bit of wheelchair rugby?
The big thing for me would be that you don't even notice the chair. It's just our pair of shoes moving around on the court. That, again, like Emily said, it's the physicality. And I've had a couple of friends and relatives that are like, oh, I want to work out. And they come by my house and get in a rugby chair, and they're like, this is the best arm workout I've ever had. So maybe get some people to find a new workout.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was a lot of fun learning about these sports and what you guys are doing over there at Marquette University. Again, that's Tony Sabel and Emily Oberst of WASA, Wisconsin Adaptive Sports Association. Their Try It event is happening today from 4 to 6 p.m. You could come out. It's free to join, open to the public. Anybody can come out and try it. It's at the Wellness and Health Fair Recreation Center at Marquette University. If you guys are looking for some parking is available on 16th Street structure. There's a little parking map on the website. If you guys go and look it up online, it's all on there. Again, Emily, thank you so much for coming out to the studio and joining us today. And Tony, thank you so much for joining us on the phone, my man. I'm looking forward to coming out today, guys. It should be a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Tony, thanks, my man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Awesome. We are Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Jack Pembroke over there. And we are served up by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. When we come back, it's time for the Warlock to work some of his magic, pick his tarot cards. He's got a magic cheese ball now he's talking about that he's bringing out. He's got some magic going on here on Warlock's Locks. Again, this is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We will be right back. How we doing, folks? How we doing? This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor on historic Brady Street. If you guys are brand new to Wisconsin Sports Weekend, then don't worry. We'll explain what this next segment is as we get on here. That mysterious music you are hearing means it's time for Warlock's Locks, where Jack, the Wisconsin Warlock, makes his 4 fantasy picks of the week by taking a card out of his magical cheesehead cauldron over there. This week, we are going to be doing basketball because I got a box of basketball cards that had a lot of extra packs in it, so we're going to run through those before we head back to football. Jack is going to take 4 cards out. Each card that he takes out, he's going to show to the camera. He's going to tell you what he thinks that player is going to do this week and whether or not you should play them in your fantasy lineup or whatever you do fantasy sports wise. Jack, who is the first player on the docket today?
Ooh, a nice one. We got Chet Holmgren.
All right. So Chet right now is a day-to-day
He's a little banged up.
He's a little bit banged up. He's a guy that so far this season has been playing when healthy at a defensive player of the year level caliber. And I think he's a guy that against the New Orleans Pelicans, who are starting 800-year-old DeAndre Jordan for some reason after giving him a contract out of nowhere. Like they immediately just started him after signing him off the street. Kind of insane, but he'll be taking on that matchup. If he's healthy in this game, Jack, what are your expectations in a Thunder matchup that they're predicted to win 89% to 10%?
Okay, if he's relatively healthy, I'm thinking over 14.5 points.
All right.
We're going a little bit lower on these projections because I don't think he's 100% healthy, but I think he's going to play. And let's say over 2 assists. And let's say maybe for some fun, let's go for some free throw attempts. Let's say he makes over 6 free throws.
All right. And then, Jack, I'm going to start something a little new this week.
Okay,
too.
I love it.
Chet Holmgren, starter sit for you.
Ooh, I'm gonna start him.
All right. Chet Holmgren, a start for Jack Pembroke. Seems pretty confident in a matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans team that may not be the strongest putting out there on the court right now. Jack, who is second in your Warlocks Locks this week?
A spooky pick.
Ooh.
Oh, a Marquette alum.
Very spooky.
Jimmy Butler.
Ooh, for the Golden State Warriors, who just lost to the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday night.
Yeah, Ryan Rollins did an eye shot right in his face for the game winner.
Mm-hmm. Tonight, they take on the Bucks' biggest rival at this point in the Indiana Pacers.
Yep.
The Indiana Pacers are not the same team that we've seen in the past. This is a squad that is definitely riddled with injuries at this point in the season. Jack, what are your expectations for Jimmy Butler in a veteran-led Golden State offense?
Take more than 13 points for Jimmy Butler. That might be a little bit on the high side, but let's go with it. Let's say at least 2 assists, and let's say at least 3 3-point attempts made.
All right. And starter sit.
I think he's kind of on the the bench here, but it's not the same Indiana Pacers team, so I'm going to start him.
All right, got it. Your third pick in Warlocks Locks here, Jack.
We're going deep in here.
Ooh, he's getting deep.
Franz Wagner.
In a game yesterday, he put up 21 points for the Orlando Magic against the Charlotte Hornets. Jack, what are your expectations for Franz Wagner against, again, another kind of lowly team in the Washington Wizards that they're facing?
Yeah, that I went to high school in the DC area. That team has not been good since I was a child. So we're going to think Franz is going to put up at least over 17 points. So put more than 17 if we're doing daily fantasy. Put, let's go 1 block.
Ooh.
And let's go 2 assists.
All right. I like that. And to me, that looks like a start type of
that's
guy.
a dead
You're
start.
Dead start easy on this one.
That's even Ray Charles can see that's a start.
All right. And last up here on Warlocks, Locks, your fourth and final player, Jack.
All right, let's make this a good one, Hands. Oh, gosh. D'Angelo Russell.
Ooh, D'Angelo Russell playing for the Dallas Mavericks has been a fire starter off their bench for them so far this season.
Man.
Let's look at his last game against Indiana. Surprisingly, if we take a look at what D'Angelo Russell did in this game, he had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal with 4 turnovers off the bench. Shot pretty efficiently. Jack, do you expect that to carry over in Dallas's next matchup against the Detroit Pistons tonight?
He's a shooter, and he's always been very athletic, and he's hard to guard because he's great with his left, obviously his predominant hand, and his right. Mm-hmm. I think D'Angelo is going to give you above 13.
Okay.
He's going to give you at least more than 1 steal. I think he gets 1 steal, so we'll put it 1 steal because we don't want to lose people money here.
Fair enough.
And let's say over 2 assists.
2 assists.
I'm going on the assists today, man.
And then is that a 4-for-4 start, or is this still a guy that you're not as confident about his play? Like that's feels like a good stat line for D'Angelo Russell this season.
But if you have someone else that can give you more points and more kind of fill up the stat sheets, I would say you sit him over other people in your fantasy team for basketball.
All right, let's take a look back at the 4 Warlocks. Locks, you got Chet Holmgren with a easy start if he is playing. So that one's a little bit different just because he's a day-to-day type of guy. Jack's telling you to be confident. Put him in that starting lineup. If he plays, he's going to be phenomenal. D'Angelo Russell, 13 points, 1 steal, 2 assists, but that is a 6. That's another guy that can be a little bit borderline sometimes. If you need a point guard, I think that's somebody worth putting into your lineup right now, especially if you're running a little bit of a more rotational thing for a day. If you're really good at checking your lineups day by day, put him in there if you think he can be in there. But if you're a guy doing this for like a weekly type of thing, I know that's how a lot of people play fantasy baseball, play fantasy basketball. You just set your lineup for the week. This is something where I think it may be a little bit more of a gamble. Jimmy Butler and Franz Wagner, though, both those guys I think should perennially be in your starting lineup unless they are injured. Jimmy Butler is a guy that I think for the Golden State Warriors, that veteran level of play.
He's a glue guy.
Alongside 2 other veteran players, Draymond and Steph Curry, I feel like you're seeing that kind of come to fruition this season where they are going to be the most technically sound team of basketball on the court. Problem is they're going to be a lot slower than most of the other teams they're playing. That's how the Bucks beat them the other night. Is they just outpaced them. The Bucks controlled the pace of that game.
They are getting old.
If Jimmy Butler can control the pace of that game, though, that's a guy that I think can really dominate even at his age, even with Steph Curry next to him, too. Franz Wagner, last up. I'm an Orlando Magic super fan outside of the Milwaukee Bucks. And I know I disown the Chicago Bulls, but that's more so to see them play because they're 5-0. So I'm going to keep saying I disown them.
So they get better and better?
It's working, Jack.
Love it.
It's working. I'm going to keep rocking with it. I wish that worked for the Bears because I say I hate them all the time and they never do good. But Franz Wagner for the Orlando Magic, again, my new favorite team. Orlando Magic. I think this is probably the easiest start out of all the 4 that we picked this week just because he's going to be the healthiest compared to a Chet Holmgren. And then, yes, him and Paolo Banchero, they are so weird the way they work together. Like, their play styles, I feel like in my mind, would say that they shouldn't work as well together as they do, but they still end up working out.
Quick little crystal cheese ball plays.
All right, let's get into it.
Anytime touchdowns, take Kyle Monangai.
Okay.
I know
backup running back.
Excited people were lucky to put him off their bench into starting.
DeAndre Swift is out and Roshan Johnson is out, so he's going to be the sole running back.
So Kyle, I'm going to say over 70 rushing yards if we want to get really intrinsical with it.
All right.
Which isn't a word.
Intrinsical.
Yeah, which is not a word. But anyways, we just George Bush that. Anyways, we're going to take Monangai over 70 rushing yards and over 1 touchdown because I think that's a game he could really do some damage. Josh Jacobs, anytime touchdown.
All right.
And let's go Keenan Allen over 60 yards receiving and an anytime touchdown.
All right. I like that. Josh Jacobs with that anytime touchdown. I'm going to get even more specific with you, Jack. Anytime. Is it a first half touchdown or second half touchdown?
Ooh, first half.
First half.
You got to be able to score points against the Panthers.
Do you think that's something that watching this Green Bay Packers team this season is something that is a little bit of a risky pick since the Packers have been more of a second half team so far this year, where they've had like that one quarter, that third or that fourth quarter where they just explode, and that's how they win games.
They seem to wait to the second half to have like that quarter where you're like, where was this all season? This team cannot be stopped. It's like a video game, right? And then there's some middling quarters of 2 quarters where you're just like, what are we doing out there?
Right.
But I think, look, the Panthers are in trouble. They don't even have a healthy quarterback right now. It's going to be very tough sledding. I think Rico Dowdle and Tat McMillan are the only bright spots for this Panthers team.
You don't like Xavier Legette at all?
I like him, but I think it's going to be garbage numbers. The Panthers are going to be behind, what I think, all game, whether it's 14-13, and they're going to be throwing a lot.
All right. Good to know. That will do it for Warlocks Locks on this edition of Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Again, run through that. Chet Holmgren, stardom. Jimmy Butler, stardom. Franz Wagner, stardom. D'Angelo Russell, sit him. Get him out of here.
Beautiful.
Get him out of there.
Beautiful.
That is Warlocks Locks. If you liked what you heard, feel free to tune in next week for Warlocks Locks as well. You can call in, you can text in, you can get on, give us your opinions about some of these players if you got them. If you think Jack was right, if you think Jack was wrong.
We love critiques.
If you want to tell us what you had for breakfast, we'll listen to that too at 414-677-1250 and 414-677-1250, to get on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. You can also join us on YouTube, on Twitter, where we are live streaming the show right now at WI Sports Radio. If you are just tuning in and you missed us talk with Emily Oberst and Tony Sabel of Wausau over there at Marquette and their Try It that they have going on tonight from 4 to 6 p.m. at Marquette University. Swing back to that segment. It was awesome learning a lot about Paralympic sports and wheelchair rugby, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair lacrosse, adaptive pickleball. It was all really cool, all really worth listening to, and it's free to go play and join later tonight. So go out, give it a shot, try it, as they put it. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, and we're proud to announce the new affiliates as part of the Wisconsin Sports Network Radio Network. 99.7 FM WNFL in Green Bay, 93.9 The Game in Wausau, 710 The Game in Duluth and Superior, and us, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan in Milwaukee. Make sure to follow us on social media at WI Sports Radio. When we come back, if you are a fan of Wisconsin Sports Weekend, you know what time it is. It is time to crawl. Oh, you guys got pranked. It's time for the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl.
Rick rolled me there.
Exactly. That's what that music means. This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. If you guys have never tuned into a Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl, do not worry. I will explain it to you real quick. We dive into the world of sports all around the globe. It may not even be about sports. Sometimes Jack likes to get a little sciencey with us here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend. But me and Jack go back and forth sharing something that we have found that we'd like to share with you, the listener. Jack, I'm going to get us started here by heading on over to the World Series, which is going to Game 7 tonight. It should be a wild matchup between Toronto and Los Angeles. Last night, LA won 3-1, where Toronto had a ton of opportunities to try to drive in a run, and they were just not able to do it. This is a series where I think most people, for the first time in the history of forever, are rooting for a Canadian team over an American team. Jack, throughout this series, we've seen some really historic performances take place. Shohei Ohtani, just in the playoffs against the Brewers, had one of the greatest games I've ever seen in my lifetime. He gets on base 9 separate times, gets walked 5 times in that epic 18-inning game that we saw Wednesday night. What have been your initial thoughts about this World Series, and has this been one that has grabbed your attention more so than the past few years?
Sure, I kind of slept a little bit on Toronto. I thought, okay, they'll give them a good fight, but this is just the battering ram buzzsaw of the LA Dodgers and just the monsters that they have on their team. So if you've ever watched the original and best Space Jam, you know that reference. I'm pulling for the Jays, man.
I love it.
I'm with the viewer, Josh. Was it Josh who said he saw 2 Blue Jays?
I believe so, yeah.
Living in the Matrix, Josh. Where Blue Jays win. Blue Jays win, I hope.
Blue Jays win. 7. That's what I'm hoping for, too. I think this is a team that has shown us offensively they got it. They've got it. Vlad
Jr., man.
George Springer has been phenomenal. I know he's been hurt for the beginning of the World Series.
They've had good pitching, too.
Right? They just are a very good baseball team that I think can do it.
I just don't want to see the Dodgers win.
Right? Isn't that just the last thing anybody wants at this point, Jack?
It's the dark side. We don't want the Empire striking back.
Exactly. Jack, what do you got up on the pub?
So I'm a little biased on this one. My dad was the quarterback and 2-way safety on the undefeated University School Milwaukee team that beat the state champs from St. Louis. He wants me to let you know they beat St. Louis County Day, drubbed them, and they won St. Louis, Missouri state champs. They also beat Racine Lutheran. And that was a big team. They were a small little school when they still bust in athletes from the city. And my dad was one of those people. They went undefeated and they were entered into the School Hall of Fame as a team for their undefeated season. It was the 1974 to 1975 season. Go Wildcats, baby.
Well, congrats to your father. Congrats to that team. That's really awesome to be a part of something like that in history, no matter where you are, what school you go to. And just a cool piece of Milwaukee, Wisconsin history.
They ran the wishbone, baby.
There you go. All right. Next up on the Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl here, I want to head over to the NFL, where the Miami Dolphins made the decision to fire general manager Chris Grier yesterday morning, which an hour later they came out and said Mike McDaniel gets to keep his job for at least the rest of the season. They guaranteed his job for the rest of the season. This was a situation where I think a lot of people had differing opinions about it. Stephen A. Smith was not very happy about it. He came out and said that Chris Grier's gone. Well, and Mike McDaniel better be the next name that comes out of their mouth.
This is Phil Longo getting fired for the Badgers.
Right.
It's just
Isn't
coming
that
down.
What it feels like?
Yeah.
Like it
coming
just
down
feels
the
like
pipe.
a scapegoat for issues that spread beyond what this guy has done. Like Chris Grier, in his defense, I feel like tried to make a competitive team in Miami. Trading for Tyreek Hill wasn't cheap. Trading for Jalen Ramsey when he did that wasn't cheap.
It's been done on the wall since last midseason when Tyreek was like, I want out of here. I don't want to come back and play. And then, well, I guess I want to come back and play.
Right, exactly. It's just very strange. A whole weird situation that I feel like we're going to see a lot of pieces from the Miami Dolphins on different teams next season. So stay tuned for that. Jack, what do you got up next on the pub crawl?
Okay. Two geriatrics are fighting. Wonder who? Floyd Mayweather.
Like 800, yeah.
And Pacquiao are getting back together. They're getting the band back together, Charlie. I know you've been salivating over this matchup.
What number fight is this?
I think this is number 4.
4?
Or it might be 5. Let's look up really quickly.
That's a lot for fights, isn't it? Like, usually don't they get to like 3 and they're like, all right, that's enough. That's like an odd amount that tells us one of us has won the battle back and forth. Because if this is number 4, they're going to have to fight number 5 at some point, right? Like, just like logically, that's how these guys think. That's how fighters think, that they got to be on top. It's like they got to fight a 5th one if this is number 4. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's going to be number 4.
So they're going to have to fight a 5th one probably too, because that's what they do.
This is what's been ruined in the sweet science of fighting by guys that are YouTube artists. Just, you can make millions of dollars fighting a 55-year-old man in diapers. And hey, I can't knock them for making the money.
At least this is a little different than when Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson, because they're both old people. We're watching 2 old people beat up each other at least, so that makes it a little better, right, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very slow defensive fight.
Yeah, it's not going to be a super fun one to watch. All right, next up here on the pub crawl, I wanted to dive into the first week of the NBA season and what we've seen so far. I have announcer and NBA insider Tim Legler sharing some of the crazy NBA statistics that he's seen so far in regards to fouls. Jack, I wanted your reaction to some of these.
Listen to some of these numbers, Bill. Like here, a week into the season, there are 27 teams in the league committing more fouls per night per game than the league leader last year. The league leader last year was like whatever it was, like 23 fouls a game. There's 27 teams committing more fouls than that a week into the season. There's a couple more. There are 10 teams right now, 10, averaging 30 plus free throw attempts a game. You know how many did it last year? None. And then one more. Right now, there are 11 players taking 10 plus free throws a game.
Oh my God. That's
last
like Giannis
year,
territory.
Giannis Antetokounmpo was the only player in the league last year. There are 11 guys averaging 10 or more free throws. I actually think it's because of the lack of discipline defensively. I am seeing more guys slap at guys unnecessarily on the drive, going for every head fake in the world.
Call it
like they're
Matador
block a
defense.
jump shot. How many guys now are going for that little mid-range step back, up fake, the Shea, the Luka, the Trae Young? Austin Reeves is great at it. And guys are just going for it every time. They're falling for the bait. Closeouts on three-pointers and recklessly fouling guys at the rim rather than making them make a tougher shot over a contested hit. So I actually think most of the whistles I've seen in the 2 games I've called have been justified.
Jack, do you feel like most of the whistles you've seen and heard across the NBA have been justified?
Here's my theory. With those numbers, stats can lie, but with those numbers, Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan would shoot at least 30 free throws a night if they were playing in the league. To me, I think it's 2 things. The refs always seem in the first 2 months to try and do, the NBA is like, hey, we want to spotlight this. We want to get this out of the game. This is slowing it down, or this is, deteriorating like the fabric of what our league and our brand is. So I think you're going to see early calls that the refs are figuring it out too, guys. They look, we can bag on the refs all day, and I'm usually one of those people. They need to do better. The game needs to go back to where you're allowing hand checks, and it's always outside the arc now, and there's not enough mid-range, and there's not enough trading paint in the lane, and I think they need to let it be a little bit more physical.
Do you think that's the duty of the NBA to allow that to be more physical, or do you think some of these players that are foul baiting, going out there and flopping a little bit or finding creative ways to go past the rules, do you think it's more so, hey, you guys need to just play basketball and stop doing that? Do you think the NBA needs to crack down on themselves or on the players?
You do what they do in UEFA or something. If you're fainting is what they call it, or flopping.
Right.
You get a card, and then you get held out for a certain number of minutes, right? So I'd like to see the NBA do that. It's like penalty minutes. It's like if you blatantly flopped, you get one of those, you get a penalized, and maybe just have it 4 guys against 5 for two minutes, and then you'd have all these guys stop flopping. You'd even see LeBron stop flopping where he's assaulted by a ghost. It is the day after Samhain. But there's got to be something done to initiate good defensive skill set and reward that versus rewarding free throw merchants just flopping at any sign of a lean in or, oh, I was assaulted by a phantom hand from the Addams family. It's just, we got to get that out of the game.
Right. Do you think that's something that, I guess I don't mean to steal time from you also into your next part of the pub crawl here, but do you think this is something that can be changed within the next 5 years, or this is something that's been going on and building up for 20 years now is going to take 20 years to kind of reset?
You got to be like a cancer surgeon and just focus in and gut it because it is eating away at the fabric of the league.
Yeah, I get that. Jack, what do you got up next on the pub crawl here, boss?
The NCAA is delaying the rule change on betting for college sports betting on their games. What do you know?
That's pretty crazy, considering that this was already a crazy ruling to allow it in the first place, like they've been saying. And now, like, I get it. Things are changing across the world. But, like, if you thought this was going to be risky in the first place, why did you do it and allow it in the first place? Like, just
South
say
Park
keep the rules.
Was farcical, way ahead of its time with baby basketball and showing what a joke the whole NCAA is. It's a wild, wild west. It really is. I agree with Mason Crosby some days now. I find myself agreeing more with him that, man, they need to really reel this thing back in because it's getting a bit crazy.
Not going to be able to. The moment the NCAA tries to reel things in, you know what the Big Ten and the SEC do?
No.
We're out.
Yep.
We're making our own conference. We're going to be the new NAIA, but it's going to be D1 NAIA, and now it's going to be Alabama, Wisconsin, and you guys are stuck with
uncharted
Oklahoma
territory.
State as your best team. Have fun. Yeah. Like, that's what they're going to say, and NCAA is going to be freaking out. Like, that's just something that I am very concerned about, that they're being so wishy-washy with things like this, that shows they have almost no power in a situation.
Where does it lead to?
Like, what is this going to lead to? Because they seem like they're losing control of what it is they had control of in the first place. All right, last up on my side of the pub crawl here, LSU football has decided to fire Brian Kelly, a huge signing that they made 2 seasons ago. Pretty shocking that it happened in the middle of the season here. He joins James Franklin of Penn State and Billy Napier of Florida as 2 other big-time major head coaches getting fired. Jack, did you expect this type of situation to be coming for the league right now?
His press conference at the start of the year when he was banging on the table and crying like a petulant child about the media asking tough questions and you don't know this football team like I know this football team. That's when I knew. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. Yeah.
Just a baby.
I'm glad to see he's gone. I had friends play for him at Cincinnati that told me he lost them weeks before he even announced he was leaving. So I'm glad to see him not do so well.
Jack, you got one more quick.
Human DNA has been found in a 2 billion-year-old meteorite. We are not from this planet? ?
Oh, I believe it. I feel pretty alien sometimes.
I'm an alien every day. My dad was a legal alien a couple of years back in the 60s and 70s, so I didn't see the spaceship. But
there you go. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, and that was the Wisconsin Sports Weekend pub crawl. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the show here. We'll be back next week, Saturday, same time, same place. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke. Thank you so much to Emily Oberst and Tony Sobel for joining us from Wausau Marquette. We had a wonderful time talking to them. Go out, check out their event, their try happening from 4 to 6 over at Marquette University. Again, this is Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Thank you all so much for joining, guys.